you not being profitable in day trading boils down to two skills. It's honestly only two skills that you need in order to be profitable day trading. Now, these two skills are hard to master. They are hard to master. They are hard not because they're difficult, but because they take time. They take time to really master them. That's it. It's just you gotta put in the work. You gotta put in the time. And we're gonna talk about it now because a lot of you are struggling making a profit in trading because you are overlooking these two skills. And what are these two skills? Honestly, it's gonna sound simple, but it's everything. You know what? And before I tell you what the two skills are, I gotta tell you it's not your strategy. Like we have to get rid of that myth. It's not the strategy. Like listen, people have different strategies and all of the strategies work, right? All of them work because you got to think about it this way. A strategy is all about how you come into the market. That's it. It's all about how you enter the market. So somebody could enter the market here while you enter it here and somebody else enters here. That's all it is. So a lot of you stay stuck. Strategy happen because you think that there is a better strategy out there. But when you really think about it, the strategy should be the least of your concerns. That's something that you could learn easy. You could learn any strategy. And a lot of people think that they only have to come into the market one way. They could only learn one strategy. But no, listen, I believe that you should be able to learn a few different strategies. You got to have a few strategies in your bag so you could come into the market in different ways, depending on the market conditions. So here we go. And that's where we're going to start. What are the two overlooked skills that, or the two skills that traders are overlooking? Well, number one, you are overlooking, what's the word? Discretionary trading. You are overlooking being a discretionary trader. Discretionary, it just boils down to just you making your own decisions. That's what it boils down to, like looking at the market conditions and picking the best trades depending on what's going on in the market. It's all about, honestly, it's all about just using your head. When you see the market, when you see the market condition, you will see your setup, right? Your setup may appear, but you got to ask yourself, is this the best market condition for me to take this setup? Like you got to start asking yourself questions. When you ask yourself a bunch of questions and you come down to a conclusion, a decision, that's being a discretionary trader. As a retail trader, you don't have a lot of the tools that the professional traders or institutional traders have. So you have to rely, at the end of the day, it comes down to being a discretionary trader. Discretion. It comes down to discretion. It comes down to you making a decision, the best decision. That's what it comes down to. Listen, I learned supply and demand. I learned liquidity grabs from my mentor, right? And I noticed that when I was in his Discord, my mentor, let's say he would win, right? He would pick good setups, but there would be traders in there that every setup that they picked, it was the bad setup. It was the setup that failed. And there were people there that every single time they would just pick the bad setups. So when I started asking myself, if the strategy works, why are there people here that can't make it work and my trading mentor can? Now, with me personally, I have my seasons. Like when I first started, I was picking the bad setups, but not all the time. I was picking some bad ones, some good ones. Then I started picking the better ones, right? And that's when I first started. So I realized this is all about you making the best decision. You have to look at everything that's going on. You have to have all of your confluences lining up. And even when you have all of your confluences lining up, that may still not be the best setup for one reason, but you're not going to know that unless you trade your strategy a lot. If you're not trading a lot, and I don't mean a lot like over trade. No, I'm not telling you trade a lot in one day. I just mean put in the time. You're going to have to keep trading. You're going to have to keep picking setups in order to know what the best setups are, because You could have your mentor tell you everything. They could make 200 videos, 300 videos, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to put in the work, put in the reps. When you put in the reps, that's when you find out what works for you. Everybody's different. At the end of the day, you're not going to trade exactly like your mentor, exactly like the person that taught you how to trade. You're not going to trade exactly like your teacher. It's not gonna happen. So it all boils down to discretionary trading. You making the best decisions. You picking the best setups. And that's not gonna be easy. That's not gonna be easy. That's going to require time and experience. Like, I don't care how much theory you learn, you're gonna have to put in the time, and you cannot skip that time. So discretion, that's the first skill. Discretion. Listen, if all of these strategies worked perfectly, you could just create a bot for all of them and just let them, let the bot pick all of the setups for you. But why don't we do that? Even if we have access to that. Because trust me, it's really not that hard to do that. The problem is that you don't trust the bot to pick the best setups. You don't trust the bot to do that for you. I don't trust a bot to do that for me. Now, some institutional traders or banks or hedge funds or whatever, they may have that. But trust me, that stuff is very sophisticated. They got the money to hire the best programmers, do what they gotta do. As retail traders, we may not have all of that. So discretion is going to be more important than your strategy. So please, if you're stuck on deciding which strategy to learn, listen, learn all of them. Doesn't matter. Learn all of them. Yes, I'm not saying, and I know a lot of people are gonna get mad. You gotta have a playbook. You gotta have a playbook. For example, I play the piano, right? I think of strategies as chords. I can't just learn the 7 basic chords and that's it. No, eventually, in order for me to get better, I gotta start learning a wider vocabulary of chords, and I need to be able to put them together in different ways so I can make great music. If I'm producing music, I gotta be able to select the great, the best sounds for that song, for that track, the best beats, the best drums. You gotta have a toolbox. So when it comes to trading, we can't just limit ourselves. Yes, you have to focus, you have to learn a strategy, right? But at the end of the day, the strategy itself is just the way that you come into the market. So please, if you're stuck on the strategy, don't worry about that. Learn a strategy. If you want to add 2, 3 more, don't stress it. Add them. But of course, you're going to have to start using discretion. As you're having all of these strategies, you're going to have to know when to use which strategy. You have to know when to use supply and demand. You have to know when to use liquidity grabs or breakouts. And you're not going to get that until you put in the time. Now, moving on. That was point number 1. Point number 2. The most overlooked skill, especially for beginner traders, and I know you're probably going to say, okay, I know this. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you're watching this video, you probably don't. And it's called risk management. You got to pick the best setups. But once you pick the best setup, you can't just, for example, if you've been winning the whole week, let's say you won 5 setups in a row. On that 6th setup, you can't just increase your position size to the point where that loss or that L would just take all of your profits. You cannot do that. Your risk has to be consistent. Risk management is going to be the most important thing. Risk management is going to decide if you earn money or if you lose money trading. So the thing is this, a lot of people, they start losing and they just, let's say you get in an L streak, in a losing streak, and you just start changing your risk management and you don't keep it consistent. It's going to be hard to get out of that losing streak if you're changing your position size. Now, I do think there is a point where you have to scale down. Yes, you do. Like, especially if you're getting deep in drawdown, yes, scale down. That's fine. But once you scale down, keep that same size. If you're trading Forex, keep that same lot size until you go back into break even, right? And if you're trading Forex, that the contract size, keep it the same. If you're trading one mini, just keep trading one micro. Minis are bigger. Just trade that one micro all the way up to break even. But once you get to break even, don't change your position size just yet. Keep trading, keep winning, build a buffer, and a nice buffer. Once you build that buffer, don't just increase exponentially. Don't go crazy with your position size. Position size is going to be honestly about everything. After discretion is going to be your risk management, your position sizing. You got to make sure it's consistent. That's the main thing. Do not change your lot size, your contract size just because. Like, you got to keep it consistent, and that's going to be the main thing that you got to do, especially when you're in a drawdown. Keep that risk consistent. You get to break even, keep it consistent. Once you hit a specific number, I can't determine that for you. Only you know your account, only you know your platform account. But whatever that number is, make sure that you have a buffer, and then after that, just increase it slightly. If you was trading one micro, now you could trade two. Don't go from one micro to one mini. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that stuff. So, and when it comes to risk management, your stop loss, we got to talk about it. A lot of you are not willing to take the L. So what happens is, once you know you're going to lose, you start moving your stop loss. Let's say if you're in buys, you start moving your stop loss lower and lower and lower, so that thinking that the market is going to reverse. We got to stop doing that. The main thing that's going to help you become profitable is learning how to lose. And listen, I'm making this video as I'm literally right now, I am in a losing streak. I am in a drawdown. But guess what? I know that my problem right now has been my discretion. I haven't been picking the best setups, right? But my risk management is staying consistent. My account is not hurting. Like, I know I could still trade for a while because I'm fine, right? My risk management is on point, it's consistent. So even though I'm in a losing streak, because I have my risk management tight and I'm not moving my stop loss and I'm not doing any of that, I'm good. I'm good right now. So listen to this. January, I was in profit. The first half of February, right now, I am in a losing streak. But now, because I am going smaller right now in my contract size, I trade futures. I'm going smaller. Now, all I got to do is work on my discretion, right? And as I'm trading, if I lose, I want to make sure I'm not losing that much. So I'm not moving my stop loss. That's what we was talking about. I'm not just moving my stop loss down. No. If anything, once certain conditions have been met, I'm moving it closer. And I'm bringing it closer so that if I lose, I'm only going to lose a little bit. There has to be some breathing room, right? But in my experience, that breathing room has to be that your initial stop loss. After that, if you want to bring it up because the trade is not working out, you could start bringing it up. Or if you're in sales, you got to bring it down, right? You got to start bringing it closer and closer. That's fine. Because what I'm learning right now, and I'm sharing my journey, what I'm learning right now is that once you enter a trade, and especially for scalpers, once you enter a trade, there is a specific amount of time, really, or candles where the trade is either going to win or is going to lose. So right now, I'm just gathering the data to make sure that I get it. It's never going to be perfect, but I'm making sure that I get it as close as possible to perfect. So after a certain time, if my trade is not working out, I'm getting out. That's what I'm doing right now. So you have to make sure that when you lose, you don't lose that much. Make sure that you work on your risk management. Make sure that you keep it consistent. And if you're being consistent about your risk management, all you have to do if you're losing, if you're in a losing streak, you have to be a better trader. You have to start picking better setups. And eventually you're going to get out of that losing streak. So I'm making this video because I want to encourage you to just focus on the things that matter. You don't have to focus on 100 different things about your trading skill. All you gotta work is on picking the best setups. Forget about the strategy. Just pick your best setups, and your risk management has to be on point. As long as you keep doing that, you're going to get out of the losing streak. You're going to go back to break even if you were in a drawdown, and eventually you're going to profit. But if you're not doing those things, you're going to blow your account. If you're in a platform account,